Hello everybody, I am Oscar.
I'm Will.
And I'm Sophie.
Oh wow, new face. Woo! Yeah, Sophie's new. Be nice. I know you will be, but...
Oh.
And we are here to review the film Southpaw, directed by Antoine Fuqua, known for directing films such as Training Day, Shooter, and The Equalizer. Woo! It is written by Kurt Sutter, who's mainly known to be the creator of the TV show Sons of Anarchy, and the film stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Jake Gyllenhaal, Rachel McAdams, Forrest Whitaker, and 50 Cent in it. I didn't expect that to happen. And the plot of Southpaw, according to IMDb, is boxer Billy Hope turns to trainer Tick Willis, to help him get his life back on track after losing his wife in a tragic accident and his daughter to a child protection services. Okay, so we don't have to hide it then. His wife dies. And expectations for myself going into Southpaw, I was relatively excited for it because I am a huge Jake Gyllenhaal fan. I've loved him in near enough everything I've seen him in. And you know, I'm interested in this whole boxing thing. I enjoy sports films like The Fighter and Warrior, so I thought, hey, maybe another one with Jake Gyllenhaal would be cool.
I didn't really have, a whole lot of expectations going into this because I'd only heard, bits and pieces of information about Southpaw, so I didn't have this whole image in my head of what it was going to be. I didn't know whether this was going to be kind of hailed as, it's going to be the next Rocky, just because it was boxing.
I had pretty high expectations, really, because The Equalizer was my favourite film of that year, and pretty much from seeing the trailer, I sort of knew I wanted to see it. I wouldn't say I particularly got a Rocky feel from it, more maybe something like $1 Million Baby. It seemed a bit more sort of gritty. But yeah, I was definitely... quite pumped to see it from seeing the first trailer. My
review of this movie would be, I've never really been too involved in sports films, no jokes. This was very, I would say, stylized, it has that really nitty-gritty tone, and it was a really amazing film. I didn't expect to enjoy it so much, I didn't expect to be gripped so much as well.
Are you sticking with that word? Amazing? You sticking with that word?
Yeah, amazing. The amazing Southpaw. Plot was good, it wasn't anything that I thought was too predictable, considering, from what I'd heard, I thought somebody else died in the film. Actually, I'd misheard information, so that actually was a shock for me. I think everybody played a great role in this movie. I don't think there was any particular bad actors in this movie. It is one of the best I've seen this year.
Of how many?
Don't know.
My thoughts on Southpaw is I wouldn't say this was anything spectacular, nor would I say this is anything bad. I think the whole structure and it's kind of by the numbers, I feel, in terms of sports films, and I haven't really been that exposed to many sports films, but I know the basic gist of it. Kind of starts off up top. Something happens to dip them in, they need to go lower and they need to train with more of the underground guy. They get more of an inspirational thing with the trainer. They come back. But I do think Gyllenhaal saves this from being just another throwaway generic boxing film. I think Gyllenhaal gave an excellent performance as Billy Hope. He really gave a variation of emotions, not just I'm the tough boxer, but also he gave that, but he also gave I'm a caring father, but I've got problems. I think Antoine Fuqua cut this in a very interesting way. The editing was very quick cut, fast pace, which works in some of the boxing scenes. I felt he did it a bit too much in just some of the normal talking scenes between Gyllenhaal. There was moments where Gyllenhaal was talking to McAdams and he kind of cut to one shot. I'm like, it would have been great if you just left it there.
Yeah.
You didn't need
slowly progress.
You didn't need cut to a point because there was a really cool creative shot where you had Gyllenhaal and then there was a mirror and McAdams was in the mirror. I was like, it'd be so cool if you just had that shot. But they kept coming back and forth to McAdams, which I felt wasn't really necessary. You could have just left it there. That might be a little bit nitpicky, but I did feel the editing was a bit too quick cut. I feel besides from Gyllenhaal, the acting was fine. There was nothing really... I felt, again, 50 Cent was fine, but to be fair, there wasn't much of him in it. And when he I did find him kind of bland and stuff. I do have to say one thing I was kind of disappointed by was the score, and the reason why I say that is because this was James Horner's last film he scored before he unfortunately died in an accident earlier this year. I was expecting something really good because he's done really good scores like in Braveheart and Titanic and Aliens and Avatar. This was kind of a bit disappointing, but that's like the only really like sort of negative, I guess you can say. But the song by Eminem I thought was dope. But talking about cinematography though, it was okay. Like there was no real shots that stood out. There was a cool slow-mo shot at the end, which I was like, okay, that's cool and stylized. Which kind of was what Antoine Fuqua did in Equalizer. Yep. Like there was nothing real. In my opinion, there was no real outstanding cinematography in the Equalizer until like the very end, where he decided to use like this really cool stylized slow-mo shot.
Yeah, I could pick that out.
It did the same thing again, where there was nothing really that standing out. Until the very end, where I was like, okay, that's a really cool stylized slow-mo shot. Yeah. It's like, he likes to bust out the slow-mo camera during the end.
I got some of the parts with the fighting, because it kind of made sense. And like, because it worked in the Equalizer, I think, because obviously, like, it was all like really dramatic things, like cool guys walking away from explosions and coming to fight the bad guys.
But this is more of a drama pick.
Yeah.
But there was a scene which I felt was really kind of unnecessary and very cliched, was the scene with Rita Ora.
Yeah.
That felt very. It literally did. It was like, oh, we're gonna go into this type of movie, like Training Day or like The Equalizer. I went, oh no, we're not. We're going back to this. I was like, did Antoine Fuqua promise Rita Ora he was gonna cast her in a film, and then then he forgot.
She
he was like,
come back, and like she didn't come back, and I was.
That was literally a thing to go like. No, I'm gonna be as bad as the other guy. And I'm not that guy.
Which was very cliched and very...
It was very Daredevil-y, you know what I mean?
I thought it was going to turn out, like, when they introduced her, I thought it was going to turn out, you know the kid in the gym? I thought, you know when he was saying about his mum, like... I thought that's what they were going to do. I thought that's what her role was going to be.
That was also very cliche as well, I felt like. There were point with the kid. And it did fit, and it was a kind of a been there, done that in $1 Million Baby as well, I felt. Basically, I thought this was a very well acted, sort of predictable boxing film, but it was... I wouldn't say this was not a bad film at all. It's just kind of by the numbers, but I would be lying if I said I didn't like it. I did like it. It's not... When I mean it's predictable, it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means I kind of... I thought, like, okay, this is good... It happened. Yeah. It's good. We're gonna. Okay.
You're kind of ticking off the list.
Basically, of like sport film. But it is one of Gyllenhaal's better roles. I think it's like he did. It's like I wouldn't say this is anywhere near his like Detective Loki or like Lou Bloom type of character, but it is still a very well fleshed out character. I feel.
I really enjoyed it actually. Obviously there's like little points there we've just said, but overall I did actually really enjoy it. It sort of met expectations really. It's probably one of the better films I've seen this year. I mean I do like gritty films like that anyway, but I felt like Jake Gyllenhaal sort of did a really good job with the role. I don't think anybody else really could have played it as well. I was waiting for a cliche at the end and it didn't happen thankfully, because I was thinking either the little girl was going to run out and be like, Daddy, you can do it, and then like he'd be like, yes, I can win.
No, not really.
Which they didn't put that in, so I was glad. And they didn't put him like imagining his wife in the crowd. I like the part. I like the thing that put in.
Yeah,
I like that he looked over and it was an empty seat. I think it said a lot more than like putting like him like
I felt that that moment was like, okay, I can still do this without her.
Instead
of because it was like time to make my decision.
Instead of continuously hanging on to her.
It was quite good really, because it sort of panned to the audience and he looked and the chair was empty, and then it panned, like it didn't pan across, but it sort of cut, and he looked at like Forrest Whitaker's character instead, and it was like, well, like it was better off like that.
But I do have to say this: his character wasn't always goody two shoes. He wasn't Mr. America. He wasn't Mr. Nice Guy of like Rocky, like, oh, you're such a cool guy.
Yeah.
I just want you to succeed. There's moments which I'm like, dude, chill out, like back off for 1 second.
Stop being an ass, you know?
And there is a moment where like Forrest Whitaker is like, don't block with your face.
Stop being a dog.
You're not invincible. You will get knocked out if you continue just to take the punches.
Well, like the joke that the announcer made, he was like, I can't believe he's just blocked a punch.
It's like, Billy, not blocking a punch, I don't believe it.
But yeah, I like the part as well where the Forrest Whitaker's in the bar and he comes in and he has a little tantrum and throws the chair on the floor and leaves, and then he comes back and he's like, I'm sorry about that, I'm really sorry.
There are moments which
the chemistry between those two is great.
I wish it was developed a little bit more.
A little, it could have been done.
Because there were moments which I was like, there wasn't much connected to them, and and the moment where he was like, oh, like, towards the end there was something, and I was like, that felt kind of a bit forced. It's like, I don't buy that you're that close to him.
Yeah, I felt
just from
like
what we've seen.
there was more chemistry between him and Rachel McAdams, and they had a short screen time together. I felt like the chemistry between those two was pulled off really well, because it was sort of like, you could see like the way they were looking at each other and they were interacting, like the chemistry was definitely there, and I felt like the chemistry was with the little girl as well. I think often in movies kids can either come across as really wooden, or it's not believable, like you just think you two aren't. Like,
I think there were moments which I was like, where it was typical kid acting.
Yeah,
but there were
there's
moments
points where she was like, "Oh, I can look after myself," and I was a bit like.
There were moments. It's like, "Where's your glasses? They're not cool." It's like, "Are we doing this with this character?"
Yeah. But I liked the bit at the end where she was like, she was saying, "Oh, I'll be fine," and then at the end she starts crying. She's like, "It was really scary."
Rachel McAdams, she was actually pretty good. She could have very well just phoned it in and be like, "I'm not going to be in it this long," and then just not doing a good performance. But I think she did a pretty good one, and as you said, I think. From the small time she was in the film, she managed to convey a really good relationship between her and Billy. So much so that when she actually, when she died and when he was just essentially just a crumbling mess, I was like, I really feel for this moment, because it's like, I really thought that they had something.
To me, a guy who I thought was pretty good as well, in my opinion, was the guy who played Escobar.
Okay. Oh, he was awful.
I thought,
no, he was good, but like you hate him. He's horrible.
He was in such control of that character. There was moments where I was thinking, like, you know.
But I feel like I wish we got more of him.
I do wish that.
That's probably my
the problem with this film. There's fleeting characters.
That's probably my main problem with this film. I wish there was more of certain characters. Yeah. You got so much of Gyllenhaal, but sometimes it works where it's like I know two completely different types of films, but American Psycho, it's Christian Bale's film.
Yeah.
And the film does a good job of not giving characters too much exposition to make you go, "Oh, I want to know more about them." They're fine characters, but like, it's totally Bale's film, and I'm fine with that. There's moments in here which I'm like, I wish there were...
I could know more, yeah.
Because Forrest Whitaker did come off of like a very stereotypical like boxing trainer. That's probably my main problem. I wish I got more development of certain characters, because we got enough to be like, I want to know more about them, but then they didn't get enough, so they were just very stereotypical.
I found it a bit odd as well. At the point where Rachel McAdams does get killed off, the guy Escobar, he's like, when it happens, he's like, "Oh my god!" Like, he looks really shocked. He's like, "Yeah," and that's believable. Yeah. But then immediately after, he goes back to being like, "Your wife's a bitch." And it's like, well,
that moment honestly felt very clumsy.
I thought that was almost ad-libbed at one point.
The way it felt just very... It did feel kind of like...
He forgot what was...
It kind of did feel like Fuqua was like, she gets shot. Do something with that. And then everyone's kind of like... Okay, because even the cameras was kind of everywhere. I'm like, wait, and I was like, wait, who shot? Who? What?
I understood who shot, but I was thinking, where were they aiming? Because she was nowhere near anybody.
No, she was
up, and what got me is she's laid there dying. Everybody stood as far away. Nobody's panicking. They do for a bit, then they're like.
The one guy's crying, his friend. There's like crying.
There is moments because it's like Gyllenhaal's like, no, dying. I'm like, has anyone called 911?
You just go like, oh no.
The script says she dies.
But like, how did the like, if he was aiming, obviously like Escobar was getting.
Who the hell was he aiming for?
I did feel that was a bit of a mess, that scene.
Yeah, it was a bit like, because what I thought would happen from watching the trailer, it come across as if like they were going to start fighting, she was going to try and go in between and get shot or whatever. But she was literally nowhere near. She was
when Billy just went off and she was kind of like, I should go over here because he's just going to cause a ruckus.
She did the right thing and she got shot for it.
But again, Gyllenhaal actually saved that moment.
I think the choreography for the death was terrible, but the choreography for the fighting was good.
There was another scene. I mean, I know I'm nitpicking. It just kind of like, I was kind of like, oh, okay. It was at the funeral. It was kind of like, so he stood there mourning, but then he sends the girl home on her own. It's like, do you not want to be with your daughter when your wife's dead?
It does. A lot of the shots did feel like we're shooting this because film, not because logic. Because it kind of felt like this would look like a cool shot. I'm like, but what sense does that really make? I would never watch it again. I'll put it that way. I would never.
It's a film that I think I would revisit.
But if someone put it on, I wouldn't complain.
You'd be like.
I'm out of this stuff.
I mean, I did really enjoy it. I would definitely watch it again.
Would you get the blue?
I would probably get it on Blu-ray, yeah.
That's how you know. That's how you know if you like the film. Would you get the Blu-ray?
Yeah, I got Equalizer on Blu-ray, so I'll probably get this on Blu-ray. I mean, like, a lot of films, obviously. I'm a nitpicker, so...
I've seen a regular... so far with the 2 Fuqua films I've seen a regular theme in them.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Just from seeing it, even though they're 2 completely different types of films, they're very similar in the way it's been directed, in the way it's...
stylistic.
Yeah. I will say this film was a tad bit too long as well.
Do you actually think so?
A tad bit. I felt like it was, like, as soon as we got to the end boxing match, I was like, can we wrap it up a bit?
I think it was because of earlier scenes dragging on a little bit too long, I think. Because to me, I thought the last match was the perfect time, but as you said, there was some kind of scenes I thought we could have cut that, we didn't even need to show that. Last final thought, I think this movie, to me, I enjoyed it. Yes, there is problems with it. I think this is the movie I probably picked the most problems with, actually, out of a lot I've seen. You know, this is the most I've talked the most. But to me, it was still enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I would revisit it. I think it's one of Gyllenhaal's best, not his best, but one of his best performances.
Do you mean like it's not one of his best films, but probably
his best performances? Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I'm going to agree with you there, really, because I do think it was one of probably the best performances I've ever seen him do. It's not the best film I've ever seen, but it's a lot better than some of the films I've seen this year, and I'll definitely watch it again.
It's a fine boxing film. It's kind of predictable. You know what you're getting into, but it's good. It's good. It's well directed. I feel it's got a cool style. Gyllenhaal easily he saves this film from being anything like he saves this film from being bad. So with that being said, that's our review for Southpaw. Thank you all for watching. And links will be down below in the description for Twitter and Facebook to everyone in the Heel Crib and whatnot. And also while you're down there in the description, comment below, let us know what you thought about the film or our review, because that will be interesting. Be nice. And until next time, guys, we shall see you later, and I'll see ya. I was waiting for you to do something.